So, yeah, you said briefly in the book that the Women's March you got the idea for the actual March on Washington through that. Did you have any other specific movements that kind of inspired this as well?
Immediately after the shooting happened, I couldn't sleep that night because we didn't know how many people had been killed or who had died. It was mostly just a Twitter feed of who was looking for people. And so I was up late and it was 3 a.m. and I started reading news articles from Columbine and Sandy Hook and Stoneman Douglas, and the language was exactly the same. Even the interviews with the students were worded exactly the same. The reactions, the adverbs, the adjectives, everything matched article after article. And I was trying to find a time in history where the message is swapped. When can you move the needle? When can you stop this course of repetitive thoughts and prayers, no action, people pretend to care, and I didn't have an answer right away, and I felt helpless because that was sort of the cycle that I felt going on. And then when we all came together, and there was the first big meeting when there was 25 of us, and Cam was in Ghostbusters pajamas, and there's a BuzzFeed reporter in there, and the only reason she was there was because she kind of looked like Delaney, and someone thought she was Delaney, so she was allowed in, and there's actually pictures of this meeting, which is super strange. And we were just talking about the march, and we thought, how many people can we actually get to the march? And I remember the first number we came up with was 90. We're we can get 90 people to show up, it'll be really powerful. And we ended up with 1 million. And and we just studied what people have been able to do before us, whether it was the civil rights movement with the March for Jobs and Equality that Martin Luther King led, or the Women's March the year before. We took these blueprints and we were how can we make this for us? How can we make this ours? And that's where the Road to Change came from too, where we studied the Freedom Riders, we studied the labor movement, and so we copied these sort of change-making blueprints and we adapted it for 2018. How could you make this real now? Because we aren't taught this it's recent. We aren't taught the civil rights movement it happened in people's lifetimes in this room. There's people in this room that lived through all of that, and we're taught it it's such a distant memory. It's so out of touch with how we are living and acting now. And we aren't taught that they were 19-year-olds, 18-year-olds organizing these protests, organizing these rallies, organizing these marches, and doing the trainings themselves. And so all of these movements throughout our history as a country and as a people, we're standing on the shoulders of giants when we do this work. We wouldn't be able to do this work as effectively if it wasn't for the kids in Standing Rock, the kids in Ferguson, the kids after Trayvon Martin was shot and killed. These foundations for activism is what makes this movement so powerful, because we're connecting with all of these coalitions, whether it's John Lewis and Andrew Young, or Clifton Kenny from Ferguson, or Mike Brown Sr., and all these people who are doing this work because so many people have been investing so long in their lives for this. And you're how are these kids from Parkland doing it? How are they pulling this off? And the answer is because we're all in this together and we're all working towards this common goal. And we weren't afraid to learn from others. We weren't afraid to take these lessons and run with them.